Okay, so I have another loose end I want to throw at you before we dive into inheritance, but this is wrapper classes. You do see this in your book in this chapter. You don't have to read it. It's a short section, and I'll just explain it in this video. But we have talked about the primitive, well, in Java 1, you would have learned about the primitive types, the int, the double, the Boolean, and whatnot, the float. And okay, great. We know about those. And now that you know about the array list, you might be tempted to do an array list of type int. Let's say you have a bunch of numbers and now you know about the array list and you don't want to go back to the array because the array list is so much better. So you try to create an array list of numbers, of integers called nums, and that is not going to fly. Okay, I am unable to do that, unable to compile. That's because the array list, the way it is defined, does not accept primitive types. Okay, so don't worry though, if you really, really want to do an array list of integers, you can do that, but you have to use what is called a wrapper class. And a wrapper class is, they're just a special predefined classes in the Java class library that wrap around the primitive types. And you can differentiate them from the primitive types because they are capitalized. So, for example, I can't do an array list of int, but I can do an array list of type integer with a capital I. So, I mean, that's how you can really spot the difference between a primitive type and an object type, in this case a wrapper class type, is the objects are in the Java universe tend to be capitalized. Okay, like the string. The string is not a primitive type because we typed that with a capital S, right? That tells me right there it's a predefined object from the library. Okay, so anyway, we have, now this is fine. Do you see I'm not getting the angry red lines? Everything's fine. I can add the numbers using the ways that I showed you, working with the array list. So, yeah, there's that. So, I mean, that's really why this is coming up in this chapter, the discussion of wrapper classes. You know what? I do have some more, like I'm just kind of playing with these some more down here. So you have wrapper classes for pretty much all of the primitive types, okay? Again, they are capitalized. That's how we can spot them a mile away. But, so for example, and you might have already looked at these in Java 1, or you might have used them without realizing it in Java 1, but the wrapper classes also come with some goodies that we can look at, for example, max value and min value, okay? So we have the integer type, which is 4 bytes in memory. And, the amount of space a variable or a data type takes up in memory determines what range of numbers you can put, what type of numbers and range of numbers you can put in that variable, or in that type, basically. So let's run this. I've done a lot of the types, a lot of the integer types at least. So the max value on a 4-byte integer, you probably already know, it's like approximately negative 2 billion to positive 2 billion. It's this number here. That's what you can do with 4 bytes of an integer in memory. So what about a long integer? So I have a wrapper class for the long type. The long is 8 bytes in memory. If you need extra space, you go for that long integer. And the maximum and minimum values using these goodies here is very huge numbers, 9 quintillion, or I don't even know what that number is, but it's a huge number, 9 quintillion. Okay, and then what about the short? The short is just a 2-byte integer, and that will obviously have less of a storage capacity, so that's approximately negative 32,000 to positive 32,000. Which is 2 bytes. Okay, and then the double, another 8-byte. Now the double is stored differently, so that those numbers are different. These are very huge numbers. They're written in scientific notation, meaning that E means times 10 to the, so that's a very huge number. Whatever that is, times 10 to the 308th power. Okay, that's a huge number. And then at the minimum value, it's some, very, very, very tiny number, okay, 4.9 times 10 to the negative 324. So yeah, okay. So you know what? I had this in there. This is an old example from an old book and probably an older version of Java. You could do this. It's letting me get away with it. It's very unusual and it would be kind of a wacky thing to do. Don't do it, especially in a professional setting. But not only that, IntelliJ is giving me an angry red line. And when I looked at that warning, it's because this is deprecated. It's now deprecated. So we should not be doing that at all. I'm just going to comment that out. We're going to pretend that we never saw it. Okay. But still, it would work if I ran it. I'm just creating an integer variable using the wrapper class instead of the primitive data type, which I could have just as easily used. Okay, so and then here at the end, I just have I'm doing like a little spiel, like with student exam scores. So I have a scanner object, and we haven't done any input yet in this class. So I created a scanner object, and I'm going to enter some student scores here. So do you see me down here? First student got 98 on the test. Yes, I'll enter another. The second student got 89 on the test. No, I'm done. Okay, and so the scores are this. So let's see how we're using wrapper classes. So I used an array list of type integer, had to use the wrapper class. I called it exam scores. I have a primitive character type or a char type. Okay, that's going to come into play as well. So, and I'm creating a user-driven loop. Right? Enter another yes or no. Enter another yes or no. I, the user, decide when I'm done. Okay. And so I'm using the integer wrapper class, as we already know. You know what? Honestly, probably in Java 1, you were using the wrapper classes for parsing. Okay. So when I was entering the student scores through the scanner object, or through the keyboard. I called it keyboard. It's a scanner object. Just getting that keyboard entry from the user, but it's, that the 98, the 89, those are coming in as strings, even though they're numbers in my mind. They are entering the program as string data, and I have to parse those strings. And look, that's where you use the wrapper class. The wrapper class has those parsing methods. So yeah, you have definitely used wrapper classes, whether you realized it or not. Certainly in Java 1. When you were getting input from the user. Okay, and then also here when I'm doing go again, enter another yes or no, yes or no. Did you see me? I was entering Y and N. So I use the wrapper class on the character type, okay, wrapping that little char primitive type around the character wrapper class to use this to lowercase. So I don't have to worry about if the user has a caps lock key on or something and, they enter a capital Y. It's still going to work because I'm using that method to squash that down to lowercase. But that's accessed through the wrapper class, okay, character wrapper class. So that's it. That's really all you need to know about wrapper classes. Just know they exist. And when you see that capital on what would have been a primitive type, then you're dealing with a wrapper class.